Hello and welcome to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy.
And I'm Claire.
And we're here to talk about some of the disturbing things that go on in the world, past and present. We feel like not knowing doesn't mean the crazy doesn't exist.
So we're going to scar you with the knowing.
Enjoy.
So what do you got for us today, Claire?
So,
Claire Bear.
well, weirdly, we are headed to a place where 60% of the world's polar bear population lives. If that didn't help you, I know this one will. It also has the specific city that is not the whole country, but
Did you just say Pacific?
specifically,
All right.
you don't know, maybe that'll help you guess. It also has an annual week-long flower counting event.
Hold up. Somewhere that the majority of the polar bears live and they have a flower event?
Now, naturally, it's going to be in the spring when they count the flowers. The flowers aren't in the winter time. But apparently, it's like to encourage people to come out from their own hibernating and count the flowers in the spring. And it encourages, like, the whole idea is to bolster community pride, get people out and about, and just attract tourists and pretty up the world. Because if you're competing against another side of the city for the most section or the most flowers,
All right.
I don't know. This year marks their 50th year doing it, and I think it sounds like a pretty cool place to go in the spring. Maybe not if you have allergies, of course, but I kind of want to go. Any guesses?
Greenland? Iceland. Wait, which one's the one that's cold?
Well,
Greenland is cold.
you
Iceland.
can guess both, because they're both wrong. We're going to Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, I was going to guess Canada. That was going to be my next.
No, you weren't.
Sure
You
was.
can't say that. You were just saying Greenland and Iceland, ma'am.
Well, I was trying to go for them northern areas because, dude, polar bears?
I was surprised you weren't going to guess Russia.
I thought Russia was mainly full of grizzlies.
I don't know. Until this point, I didn't realize there were that many polar bears in Canada.
I didn't either.
I thought you were going to guess, like, Antarctica.
Well, I knew they were in the Arctic countries. Area places.
You're bored already? Well, this one's going to be a doozy, so you're going to have to pay attention, so wake your brain hole up.
Brain holes awake.
I just heard it yawn. Did you have coffee?
No.
Anyway, so I'm going to be telling you about Reena Virk.
So I can't yawn, but you can burp?
I chugged an Atkins shake so you wouldn't hear my stomach grumble through this one. You're welcome. Anyway, Reena...
It's your case.
Ma'am! One more time. We're getting way off topic, and this is a serious case.
We haven't even gotten on topic.
Valid. Anyway, so Reena, focus.
I'm Andrea.
Reena was born on March 10th, 1983 in Canada. Now, her dad is from India and migrated to Canada. Now, her mom, though she is Indian, she was born and raised in Canada. So her family's there. Her dad's got family that was there before he immigrated. So it's just like he's got family in India and also in Canada. But Reena's going to grow up as a Jehovah's Witness because that's the religion her mother practiced and her father converted into that. However, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness will sometimes set Reena apart in school and also in her community. Not only that, she's going to look different because she's Indian. So she's going to find it real hard to fit in and find friends. Now, family is going to describe Reena as bright, spirited, and full of big dreams. She's going to be the oldest of 3 children. She'll have a younger brother and sister. And her father is going to dote on his children more than what is culturally expected. So I did, in doing this case, stumble on that, like, in Indian culture, nobody really celebrates when you have a girl. They celebrate when you have a boy. So, but it's also like the fathers they get married, so the wife takes care of the children. They're not really hands-on. But for Reena's dad, he was real excited to be a dad. And in Canada, you do have that kind of split parenting thing happening. So it's like culturally, his parents and their family will be like, what are you doing? There's one thing of like, he'll go to pick Reena up when she's a baby because she's crying and his wife is doing something else, and he'll run to go get the baby. And a friend will be like, that's what you got married for. So just to put that in perspective for you. And his reaction was, she's mine too.
Aw.
I'm supposed to not care if my baby girl cries. I'm going to care. But I thought it was pretty cool because they have very much of he'd help with the shopping, the cooking, the cleaning. They would work opposite shifts, and he would watch the kids when she's working. She would watch the kids when he was working, so that somebody was home all the time with their kids.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was, because for the 90s, that's more of a now kind of thing.
No, it's not.
Well, more than it was in the 90s.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, but he doted on them a whole lot. Him and his wife also wanted to expose their children to all sorts of different cultures and everything. And I think that was partially to, like, not being accepted in other groups because they look different. And that does come from not being exposed to different things. So they wanted to raise their children seeing all sorts of people, all kinds of life. So it's not shocking, and they don't act weird when they're in situations that there's different cultures mixing in.
Right.
So in 1991... they're going to visit India, so that way he can show off his children to family. And they make a crazy family trip out of this because they go to different countries. It's several weeks long of travel. And a lot of people are going to be like, I don't even know why you would take children on that trip. It's lost on them because they're 7, 5, and 3.
I don't know. I think that would be an exhausting trip, but
right.
The other people that are, it's not about the kids.
Yeah. Well, people want to see them, so
yeah.
they go running around. It seemed like quite an adventure, but they also will visit the U.S., do Disneyland, blah, blah, blah. It's a family of adventure. They take their kids all over the place because, again, they want them to have those experiences. But as Reena starts to enter her teens, she's going to struggle to fit in because, like I said, she doesn't look like everybody else, and she's going to start to become moody and withdrawn. And when she enters high school, she's going to start facing relentless bullying. They're going to give her cruel nicknames, just exclude her from stuff, and even have some times where people stick gum in her hair. Not only that, she has always suffered from eczema on her legs, so she's going to withdraw from activities she used to love, like swimming, because that's just going to make her more of a target for the bullies.
That sucks. I had somebody cut my hair once in school.
Well,
having people mess with your hair sucks.
Well, it's really, I know kids can be cruel, but it's just like, if you're already being left out of stuff, you don't have friends, and it's just like you're also being picked on, I can understand the hostile stuff coming at her. But her parents are going to try to help because, again, they love their kids. Her parents are going to meet with the teachers and the school, but so much of the bullying is kind of happening when no adults are watching. So, like, in between classes, the hallways, outside, like, it just, nobody's seeing it. So how are they supposed to stop it if no one's seeing it? Now, Reena's going to carry that pain home, and tension is going to grow between her mom and her. Because as Reena kind of gets in her own funk, she's kind of the regular teenage slob. Her room's a mess. She's not taking baths and maintaining the hygiene as much as she could.
Ew.
So her mom is going to be like, you need to take a shower. You need to clean up. You need to stop wearing frumpy things. So they're naturally going to butt heads because Reena doesn't want her mom coming in there cleaning up her room. But her mom is just like, we don't live like this. Clean up your fucking shit. So naturally, those two are going to butt heads pretty frequently, and Reena's dad is going to get home from work and always be caught in the middle, and he'll listen to both sides, and he'll try to tell his wife that, like, go easy on her. She's already struggling. She's getting picked on, and the wife will be like, you're taking her side. But there's tension there, and Reena's just moody. And I feel for her because I feel like being a teen girl is hard. And if you don't feel like you fit in at school and then you're getting shit at home, it just feels like you have no outlet. You have no person. So it's just like...
yeah, it's isolating.
Right. No, the family's going to buy a house and move to a new neighborhood, which means a new school, and seems hopeful at first when Reena befriends a girl named Jessica. But soon, Jessica will stop responding to Reena, and Reena will go back to... like, there was like a glimmer of hope. Reena was in a good mood. She had found a friend, all that. And then when Jessica stops talking to her, Reena kind of falls back into she's all alone again. And it's almost worse because she had it and lost it. So she's desperate for belonging again. And Reena's going to start gravitating towards trying to hang out with older teens who are smoking and staying out late and really pushing the boundaries of what they're allowed to do.
Great.
Right. Her parents have the same feeling and are worried and try to intervene, but Reena dismisses their concerns. because at this point she just wants to be accepted, and
She wants friends, yeah.
these friends give her those validation feelings she's craving. Now, in a desperate attempt, Reena's dad's going to talk to Jessica's dad and be like, what's going on? And he's going to be like, I'll try to figure it out all subtle like. And he's going to talk to Jessica. I don't know, but he wasn't subtle, but I don't know what he said. Because Jessica's going to call and apologize to Reena for stop talking to her, but they are never friends again. Which I feel like he was not subtle.
No, but that's also awkward as shit.
Right. I realize all of it came from a nice place, but I feel bad because I feel like that also drives a wedge between Reena and her parents because they won't butt out, even though he was trying to help.
But that's embarrassing.
It is. You can't make my friend be my friend again.
That's so... Ugh.
But back to her bad friends, one of them is going to give her dangerous advice that, like, I guess these older kids are just like, oh, you know what? You don't want to live at home anymore? Just claim you're abused to get out of it.
Oh, gosh.
So Reena is like, all right. So she's going to make up a false story, and this gal's mom is going to bring her down to the police station with those false allegations. Now, shocked, because the police are going to let them know that Reena's not coming home because she said she's being abused.
What?
And her parents are going to be like, the fuck?
There's no proof?
Reena's going to be placed with her maternal grandparents. And when her grandparents, like after a little while, because you know how on any of these processes, they're not quick. So after a while of her staying with them, the grandparents are going to push her for details of, okay, what are you talking about specifically? What's going on? So only because she's being forced, she convolutes a story that she says her father has sexually abused her. It was during their trip to India.
Oh, God.
And the grandparents are like, okay, we weren't expecting that. So they're going to consult the church elders of what are they supposed to do. Then the church is going to be like, knock, knock, to Reena's dad. And like, so your daughter's saying you sexually abused her on the trip to India. And he's going to be horrified because I think the way they broke it to him, they're like, so Reena's saying she was sexually abused in India or during your trip to India. And he was like, what? We were with our kids the whole time. And then they're like, yes, she said it was you. And then he's like, what? So they're just like super upset that she would make up something so awful and such a big whopper to get her way. So we're going to fast forward to 1997. In January, her dad is going to be arrested, and he's going to be released because he's never been in any sort of trouble. So even though he's officially arrested, he's released until trial. Now, in that time, I guess the life Reena had envisioned being on her own and away from her home wasn't what she had hoped for, because mind you, they were doing trips, all the family activities, all the things she didn't want for anything. I realized she wanted to belong, but she opted to make up a lie, and all of that was pulled away from her. So
consequences.
With living with the grandparents, I don't think things were ideal there. They would go to like a wedding. I want to say it was in England, and they don't take her. So she was like, what? Like, if she was with her parents, they would have absolutely taken her. But the grandparents are of the mind of, kids don't go on trips like that. So we're not paying for you to go. So I think that was part of the motivator of she wasn't used to that.
I also wonder if they knew she was lying. So
I don't think so, because when she tells them those whoppers, it drives a wedge between the grandparents and Reena's parents. Like, they'll try to have a conversation with the grandparents to try to get to the bottom of it, because they are of the mind, if they can just get Reena back home, they can get her help and do that. But he can't talk to her. Like, when he's released, there's a no contact order given. So they were trying to have the open door with the grandparents, and they're of the, no, you're the problem. We're trying to protect Reena. So I kind of am curious, because so in Indian culture, they do a lot of arranged marriages, and he very much immigrated to Canada and fell in love with his wife and got married without everybody's approval. Eventually, everybody got on board, but part of me is curious, because the idea was you're marrying for love, it's not going to last, where an arranged marriage, you build off of that. It's a working arrangement, and you can eventually get the love there, but that was there, because there's no divorce.
Right.
That's not a thing. So that's why it wasn't supported initially. But it makes me curious if that's why there's a little bit of a wedge when it comes to this, because it's just like, we didn't hand select the people.
We knew you shouldn't have married him.
But again, he's going to be released and waiting trial. So Reena's dad had come home from work one night in September, because mind you, this happens in January. So one night in September, he comes home and Reena's in the living room with her mother, and
run.
He disappears. He goes straight to the bedroom. Like, he keeps walking, because it's just one of those. I don't even know how you could look at somebody who would say you did that shit. And I mean, he was arrested. He faced embarrassment. You figure family members don't want to talk to him. Like, he had to deal with his own wife going, "Did you do it?" And him having to sob and be like, "No, fucking no."
Jason would never forgive me if I asked him that. He'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
She said she had to ask, and I can...
yeah, I get it.
I guess appreciate that she's torn between her child and her husband, and she needs to know.
Did the other kids get taken?
No.
Huh, that's weird.
So... I personally find Canada strange, so I hope they got their shit together after the 90s, but that's just the tip of the iceberg with the strangeness.
Well, let's face it, here in the U.S., we still don't have our shit together.
That's valid. But he's gonna go straight to the bedroom, because I can't imagine...
Yeah, fuck that little shit.
No.
Oh. Hell with that little shit.
So he's gonna, flee to the other room. His wife's gonna come over there and be like, "So Reena wants to talk to you," and he's all darty-eyed of like, "I don't really want to talk to her." And I feel like she's doing the whole, "But this is our daughter and she came to us. You're gonna need to talk to her." So he goes back in there with his wife. Reena's gonna apologize. She's going to say that she did make the whole thing up and she really wants to come back home, and she's just real terrible sorry. And her parents have wanted her home this whole time because they want to help her, and they think there's a chance they'll get their daughter back. So
I think this case points out that my love is in fact conditional. I would be like, "Sorry, sucks to suck. These are called consequences." Dude, if my daughter lied and said that me or Jason, if any of my kids did that, I wouldn't trust them back in the house.
Same. I would be worried the influence they'd be on the other two children as well.
Especially because she chose her father, who seemed to be the one that always had her back when she butted heads with her mother.
I think that is part of what made this heartbreak even worse for him, is because she was very much daddy's little girl, and then
turned into an asshole.
She makes up a story. So I think it was just like one of those, that was a wound forever, no matter the apologies, that you just can't say that shit. But I think part of the motivation to let her do that is she's going to officially recant her story and the charges are going to be dropped. However, the ordeal left lasting scars on the family and instilled a bit of fear in her parents of, that was way too easy for her to do. So it's just like, now it's a power she can wield.
You know what? My door would have stayed shut. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. There's some things that are unforgivable.
Well, and you know what? It's like the rest of the family in Canada, there's like a wedge, because for the people who didn't want to talk to them because they were trying to protect Reena, and then once she comes out as a liar, it's like that awkward...
You raised her. You raised her to be that lying little brat.
Yeah, but it makes relationships awkward.
Yeah.
Because you were real quick to believe a lie from a tween.
I thought you said she was 13.
I'm still saying, I said what I said!
All right.
Anyway, by October, Reena's moved back home, and now she's taken up smoking openly.
What?
She wrote Bloods and Crips on her hands and arms and told her parents she was in a gang.
All right.
Her parents would try to get her to quit smoking, and she would say, sure, she'll quit smoking, and they'd make appointments for her to go to like some counseling for quitting smoking, but she would never she would never turn up for those appointments, and they weren't going to give her money for cigarettes, and they weren't going to buy them for her.
If you tell me she turns to prostitution...
No, that's not the route this goes.
All right.
She'll complain to her aunt and uncle about how her parents won't give her cigarette money, and how her dad got mad one time and tried to tie her to a chair and cut her wrists.
What?
Mm-hmm. Naturally, the brother-in-law there is going to go to Reena's dad and be like...
Don't slice your daughter's wrists?
So Reena's saying he tried to tie her down to a chair and cut her wrists, and he's going to be like, what? She's still fucking lying?
She'd have to go.
And he's going to be like, you know what? Just tell the police what story you heard, because at this point I feel like it needs to be reported, but they don't. Or that guy doesn't. And her dad is going to be bothered by just how easily people believe her stories. You would think at some point people would realize she's making shit up, don't believe a thing that comes out of her mouth.
The second she went back home and said that she made that shit up, you shouldn't...
But the aunt is going to be like, you just need to give her cigarette money.
What?
If that's where this is coming from, just give her cigarette money and, like, just ride this one out, because that's what teenagers do. They go into a dark place. So just, like, give her cigarette money. And I mean, just, if that's what she's going to make stories about to get. And I did the whole, okay, so it's illegal for her to smoke those. I'm not going to buy a teenager cigarettes.
No.
Is that not rewarding line? But I imagine it can be real frustrating when you have a family member, like, just give her cigarette money.
Just to be clear, I don't want you giving my kids cigarette money or telling me to give them cigarette money.
Just to be clear, I'm not buying anybody cigarettes, whether they're under 18 or over.
Deal!
But, the aunt will actually buy her cigarettes.
I said what I said.
Now, eventually, Reena is going to announce she wants to go back into the system.
Bye.
Because she realized she wanted to come home, but she doesn't want to live here anymore.
Peace.
So she's going to go to an emergency youth center and stay there for 3 nights. And Lord knows what story she concocted and told those people. And her friends are real pieces of shit that were not nice to her. But she looked up to them for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because they were just always out and about and nobody was checking up on them, because they're real bad kids. Nobody gives a shit what happens to them.
They gave her cigarettes, Claire.
I guess. But they'll take things from her. Like in the winter, or like, obviously it's in the winter because I said it's September already. But they'll take her jacket and just take whatever shit she has, but she still wants to be around them.
What?
Yeah, so it's like, it's not they're bad kids and they're nice to her. They're not nice to her. But she still hangs around them because they're, like, cool in her mind.
She's hoping to become one of the group.
Now, they're going to meet with a social worker, and the social worker's like, I don't have any foster homes available right now, and she doesn't want to live with her grandparents. And Reena's like, I don't want to live at home. I don't get money for cigarettes. And the social worker's like, no worry, dear. We'll find you somewhere that you'll get what you need. Cigarettes or whatever you need. And her parents are like, look at each other, because they'll meet with the social worker with the police officer that knows about Reena's lying, because they're thinking they're going to get to the bottom of it. Their daughter will be told, no, you're going to live at home and deal with your shit. But instead, they're going to place her or make her like the ward of the state kind of thing, that she will be taken from her parents' house.
Bye.
And they're just like, all right, but until they have a spot free, she's going to have to stay at home, and then...
What? I don't understand.
For temporary, in which they're also darty-eyed.
No. So if it's not a safe environment and the child has to be removed, I get that.
No.
I would understand if they're like, you know what, this little girl's not safe, we need to just remove her. But to be like, you know what, though? You can go ahead and keep her for a little bit longer, and then we'll go ahead and take her off your hands. No. Take this little lion brat or leave her here. There's no in between.
So it's not an unsafe environment of the grounds anymore, because they already dissolved that case when she said she made it all up. She'll go there and say, my parents refuse to give me money for smokes. I don't want to live at home anymore. I want to be placed in care again.
All right.
And that's when the ladies all, oh, okay, we'll do that, and enroll her in the system again. And mind you, her parents are like, we thought we were coming here as like the state would help us. But so Reena is going to not be living at home again. But on a Friday night, November 14th, Reena would come over to spend time with the family and want to spend the night. She wants to spend time with her siblings, watch a movie, play cards. She's just about to go take a shower when the phone rings, and it's one of Reena's bad pals inviting her out. Reena's not sure she wants to go because she kind of already had plans, but her friends all, I'm going to whoop your ass if you don't come out. And then Reena, even though she's hesitant, she's like, fine, I'll go. So she gets ready to head out and leaves the house at 7:30 to go meet her friends. Around 9, Reena's going to call home, talk to her brother, and tell him that she's going to be home by 10. By 11, her parents are like, she's still not home. They doze off, though, because
She's a bad kid.
I feel like by this point,
Yeah.
she's doing whatever she wants anyway. She doesn't really have to be there if she doesn't want to. And so 11 o'clock, her dad dozes off because he's got to be up early in the morning. And when he gets up, Reena never came home. So the next day, he's going to call the group home. And the girls that met up with Reena would say they had seen her at the hangout, but had come back without her around 11. Now, by the next day, her parents are going to call the police to report her missing, and the police are like, that's what kids usually do. They'll show up after.
Especially this one?
Yeah. They'll show up after a few days, just wait it out. But because nobody's prepared to declare her a missing person yet, because
she's got behavioral issues, yeah.
Right. But her parents are like, they can't shake this sick feeling, because even though Reena was going to go do whatever she was going to do, she was weirdly communicative. Like when she went to stay at that emergency youth center, she told them that's where she was going and she's not coming home for a few days. But like she had called earlier that night and said she'd be home at 10. Like she was communicative. If she was going to be somewhere, she was going to be somewhere. So, which I did think was weird too. It's like a rebel, but still kind of
reminds me of your dog can't figure out what breed it wants to be.
Now, between Monday and Wednesday, rumors are flying around the school about a girl being in the gorge waterway. Then a particular gal, Kelly Ellard, is found to be bragging about how she killed a girl, gave her a karate chop to the neck, and smoked a cigarette while she held her head under the water.
Oh.
She even would take another girl down over by where the water was and show her where she'd done it. The police are going to get wind of this and decide they need to follow up on these rumors. So they're going to chat with students that heard the rumors and track down where the stories came from. The gal, Kelly, and then a feller, Warren Glowatsky. They would both be arrested and taken down to the police station. Now, Kelly, she's a nasty little piece of shit. She's foul-mouthed when she's talking to the police. She has zero respect for authority and just keeps telling them she wants to go home. Because Kelly, she's not concerned. She's beaten girls up before and nothing's happened to her. She's unfazed and she's an asshole. I don't like her.
Sounds like a real prize.
Now, the following morning, they're going to have a helicopter going over the gorge. Boats and divers are going to come out and search for Reena. Now, it's a difficult search because the water's real murky and there are areas where it's real difficult to get to. You can't get to it by foot, it's only accessible by water or the helicopters. And just as the sun's beginning to set, they're going to find a partially closed body that I'm just going to tell you at the time. Obviously, they're not going to say who they found, but it does end up being Reena. Her body was found in a weedy shoreline that was only accessible from the water, and they would have to break the news to Reena's parents later that evening.
Jeez. Talk about, conflicting emotions.
I know. I feel so bad for them because for the dad, he'll say that she never had an opportunity to recover from the poor decisions she made and she was robbed of that, and that it's just, I don't know. I feel bad for them because it's just, they started to get little, she came to hang out and spend time with her siblings. I feel like kids can be real shitty.
Yeah.
And I wish she had had a friend.
Jessica.
Mm-hmm. Now, what happened when Reena left the house? Now she's going to meet up with some girls in front of Walmart.
Kelly!
And take a bus to a hangout area on school grounds, which was a place where kids would drink and smoke and just hang out and were rowdy.
I'm so glad I don't live in a city.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up and have to deal with that, and my kids, there's nowhere around here.
Yeah, the gang exposure, none of that.
Not even just that, but loitering teenagers is not a thing anywhere around where my kids are being raised. So I don't have to worry about this.
Yeah. Well, after some time of screwing off, somebody breaks a window and the police are called and they're told to clear out. Now, two of the girls are going to ask Reena to go buy them some smokes, and Reena would go to the store. It's around 9 o'clock. She's going to use the payphone to call home, and that's when she talks to her brother and says that she's going to be home by 10 because they were already told to clear out of where they were hanging out, so she assumes they're going to be breaking up here soon. But then when she walks out of the store, the girls are like, hey, you want to go hang out under the bridge? And mind you, this is a group of kids that for whatever reason Reena looks up to, so she's going to go. Now, there's a few teens already under the bridge when they get there. It's a clear, full moon kind of a night, And for whatever reason, one of the girls, Sally, I'm not going to give you all the girls' names because it just gets confusing with all the people. But Sally is going to start yelling at Reena about how she knows she snooped through her diary when she left it at her house.
What?
And how she also knows that she's been talking to her boyfriend on the phone, and she's going to go into a full-on tirade and take her cigarette and stub it out right on Reena's forehead.
Wait, how old are these kids?
So Reena's 14. The rest of these kids are like 15, 16. But she's going to take her cigarette and stub it out right on Reena's forehead.
Oh.
Reena's going to head towards the stairs to leave, but another girl, good old Kelly, blocks her way. Sally takes the opportunity and starts punching and kicking her. And by this point, it's like blood in the water and with sharks. All these teens start gathering around Reena in a swarm. One boy and 6 girls, a group later dubbed the Shoreline Six, would take their shots at Reena as she clung to the railing and tried to protect her face. Some would knee her in the face when she tries to hold her head down, giving her a bloody nose and swollen eyes. Witnesses would later state that the beating went on for a few minutes before a girl in the group would say that was enough and to stop it. And they would all kind of disband when that happens, but that's a lot of people kicking for, even if we, let's say, a minute.
Yeah.
A lot of people kicking and punching one person for no fucking reason. But I know how you said that your kids don't have that exposure. We didn't have that exposure either. But evidently, beatdowns is a thing.
All right.
I didn't realize that was like even...
I've heard of it with like the gang initiations, but not...
Well, you figure... I don't know. You figure she was writing Bloods and Crips on her hands, so I don't know if this was like they were in a gang or pretended they were.
Yeah, she also said her dad molested her, so...
True. So when they all start to disband, Kelly's gonna kind of linger and kind of watch Reena in the mud, giving a few more jabs before deciding to snatch her bag and head the other way. And she starts going through it, and like it's junk of stuff she had packed.
It's a teenager's book bag, yeah. Like, it's just crap.
It was stuff she had packed to stay at her parents' house, so it's got her PJs in there and random items. So Kelly starts chunking them into the water off the bridge, keeping just the perfume she finds at the bottom. No. By this point, most of the group has started going their own direction, and Kelly and Warren's the feller, by the way, watch as Reena staggers over the bridge towards the direction of her house. They would run to catch up to Reena and ask her how she's doing. She's going to tell them to go away, and they tell her that they just want to help her and take her by her hands, walking her across the bridge and down into a grassy area where there's a few trees.
Oh, no.
Now, Kelly will tell Reena she wants her shoes and take them off. Reena does. Kelly starts punching and hitting Reena again, and I guess it seems like a thing to do, and Warren joins in as well and kicks Reena in the stomach. Reena falls down, and they start jumping up and down on her chest and torso.
Oh, gosh.
Stomping her head and face. Reena tries to get up. They take her and smash her into a tree. Then they drag her into the water, face down. Warren stops at the water's edge, but Kelly keeps going. Pulling Reena into the salty water, salt and her wounds make her flinch and fight, but Kelly karate chops her to the throat, drags her further into the water, and holds her head under it. She lights up a cigarette as she places a foot on her and holds her under the water until she's sure she's dead.
Oh, gosh.
The two would then watch as Reena's body floated away before heading home. And by the way, when Kelly gets home, she'll have a normal conversation with her stepmom before going to take a shower and go to bed. So this bitch is disgusting.
Yeah. I hope Canada doesn't do the death penalty, but you better not tell me she's out.
A week later is when Reena's body's recovered and Canada is horrified. And I don't know who wouldn't be horrified at the body of a 14-year-old girl being pulled from the water, other than knowing another teenager did it.
What's with you picking cases with my kids' ages?
Hey, so this one wasn't me. This was Paulina. So Paulina's picking your children. And I can just say, I feel bad for you because you've got the teenage girls and they're scary.
Again, I am grateful that they don't have those negative influences.
Yeah, be glad you don't live in the city. So in 1999, Warren is going to be convicted of second-degree murder. Now, he's going to admit to kicking Reena during the assault, and he's going to testify that Kelly held her under the water, pinned her with her foot, and smoked a cigarette as Reena drowned. An autopsy would show gravel in Reena's lungs.
Oh.
Massive trauma comparable to a car crash, and a sneaker-shaped bruise as proof of the forcible drowning. Now, Warren would receive a life sentence. Later, he's going to express deep remorse and participate in restorative justice. And he'll even meet with Reena's parents face to face.
I wouldn't have gone to that meeting.
So I'm surprised. I don't know if it's just the closure of all of it, but I think it did help Reena's parents.
That's good. I wouldn't have gone.
Kelly, however, is a nasty asshole. I feel like she is a rattlesnake in a human body. I don't like her. Now, her legal path is tumultuous. She's going to stick with the, I didn't do it, and just as if that's going to be a way out of this, because there's multiple people saying she did it. There's proof she did it. She was telling people at school she did it. That she's going to be convicted of second-degree murder in 2000.
Only second degree?
Mm-hmm. That's going to be overturned, or not, I think it was a mistrial or a hung jury, something like that, because she's going to be retried in 2004, and then another mistrial.
Who is she blowing to get off?
So, I guess because it's hard for a jury to believe a gal could do that is part of the thing.
What's the time period again?
But she's going to be reconvicted in 2005, because you figure her appeals too. After a third trial, and I feel bad for her parents because it's like their daughter dying every single time. And this is the person who did it, so this should be the easiest one to convict. Now, her conviction was briefly overturned before Canada's Supreme Court reinstated it in 2009, but it was, like I said, a rough and drawn-out process for Reena's family. Now, just to give you updates of all the things, in prison, Kelly becomes pregnant through a conjugal visit and gives birth in 2016. Now, while on day parole, she has a second child. The parole board noted motherhood brought her stability, and she was granted day parole in 2017. In 2018, she's hauled back in front of the parole board for domestic violence issues and positive urine tests for codeine. Now, in 2022, she declined full parole because she wasn't ready to be out and about in society full time.
That's terrifying.
But by 2025, concerns resurface over her drug use, the breaches of parole violations and all that, and her deteriorating behavior.
I'm confused if she's in jail or not at this point.
Dude, she's got day parole, so she can go out during the day and come back. It's disgusting. I get that she was a kid, but she's an asshole this whole time, so I don't understand why, if you have a violation, why her ass isn't sent right back. But it's like she keeps getting granted day parole, and by June of 2025, her day parole is revoked, and she remains in custody serving her life sentence. But I don't get it. What the fuck's the point of a life sentence if you get out during the day? She's a piece of shit.
That's like those weekend jailers where they report in just for the weekend.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize you could get that as an option for murder.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was very confused. A life sentence, but you get day parole. Whatever.
What is going on in Canada?
Now, the other girls who made up the Shoreline Six received youth sentences in 1998. They ranged from conditional supervision to short-term custody terms. Those sentences ended a long time ago. And for Warren, after years of demonstrating remorse and trying to do better, he's granted full parole in 2010. Now, for Reena's parents, they turned their grief into action. They would speak to schools, supported anti-bullying campaigns, and urged communities to look for vulnerable teens. And I think at least they took it a positive direction, because I agree. I think if Reena would have had somewhere to turn, I think she wouldn't have turned to a group of pieces of shit.
Except she had a loving family. And that wasn't good enough for her.
Yeah. Well, so I think every teenage, I was going to say girl, but every teenager is going to go through the whole, they hate their life at home, that they've got it so bad when they really don't. And then they realize what bad can be. But it's just like, if you don't have a friend, you go home and you're getting dogged by your mom. You go to school and you're getting gum put in your hair. And if you say anything to any of your parents, they're going to call whatever kid's parent, and it's just going to make things worse. And you have no glimmer of light in there.
Yeah.
But Reena's story is one that I think people should cling to so that it's not something that dies in vain. I realize she was struggling, but like I do think people should keep an eye out for those kids because they're vulnerable. And also, cruelty can kill. Like teenagers, I don't think they really necessarily understand the ramifications of their actions, but they're like killer bees in groups. And maybe like instill in your children that kindness can save lives if you see somebody sitting by themselves.
Yeah, I kind of already do that with my kids.
I wasn't saying that specifically to you.
Well, we're having a conversation, lady.
I'm just saying.
As far as I'm aware, nobody else can speak back. But I appreciate that my kids do. Like on the first day of school, there was a little girl that was sitting by herself. And my daughter got up and went and sat with her and was like, hey, just chit-chatted for a minute and was like, do you want to come sit at our table with all of us? And I appreciate that my kids do that.
Yeah. Now, I know this gets on a rabbit hole, but a weird side note to this whole thing. Now, that happened in 97, right? And then the trials, the first murder trial isn't going to start till 99. Well, right around that same time in 99, Reena's dad's sister is going to get into a squabble with her husband, and he would stab her to death 16 times. So in the throes of they have to bury their daughter, a murder trial, all the things, his sister gets stabbed by her husband. Now, to make it even worse, that man stabs his wife in front of their 5-year-old son. They also have a 17-year-old son who is fortunately at a friend's house at the time, but both boys are going to go into emergency foster care until Reena's parents decide they want to take the boys, which they don't miss the irony of the situation because then the state deems their house a great one and gives them the full custody, and they're darty-eyed of, yeah, well, they took our daughter from us too easy. So I feel like it was a little bit of a distraction for them. I know it was hard for him to lose his sister, but like they lost Reena and got 2 boys.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this poor family, like just...
Tragedy after tragedy.
Yeah. And then his mom dies of cancer that same year. So it's just like I really feel bad for her dad. I know the story was about Reena, but I really feel like her dad's the victim in all this. He's had a very rough life.
Yeah, it's awful. Poor feller.
But can I just say this has like unlocked a fear of teenagers?
I'm not scared of them little shits.
But I feel bad for her parents so much. Because like, so when she died, like they were swarmed by the media. Like you would have like, because naturally they would dig up like the whole the charges on her dad, but nobody wanted to print that she recanted them. But it was like if they did, it was like teeny tiny next page kind of thing, because that's not juicy. And then they would get messages from people of like, it's your fault that like because of this is why your daughter died, or people being like, you should have kicked her out a long time ago. It's still your fault. And it's just like, okay, their daughter's dead. They had to identify her in the morgue, covered in bruises, and their firstborn. So, like, perhaps the people who want to send parents
hate
mail, keep your fucking opinions to yourself, or do that weird therapy thing where you write a note and then you burn it. Because it's not helpful at all. Nobody gives a shit about your opinions. And I think it's disgusting. People were sending shit at all.
Yeah, people are assholes.
Well, and every time a trial would start, they would have news people outside their house. So when Kelly's trial kept being like, when she would get an appeal for whatever reason, and then blah, 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 blah. I think initially Warren didn't testify. So then when she was convicted, or like there was like the hung jury, so she was retried, and then he testified, and then she appealed it, and like that whole process. Where I feel like everybody else was sorry and they weren't trying to fight it. And Kelly was doing the whole, I didn't do it. I want to go home. And I want to say the last time she was convicted, the jury did hear from her, and she's not a nice person. So I think she made it easy for them.
Good.
But I find it disgusting that she's gotten to breathe any amounts of fresh air. I feel bad for her children because they don't need her as a mother.
Well, they don't have to have her as a mother anymore. She's in prison.
And I am afraid for the world if she ever steps a toenail out, day parole or not. She is not a nice lady. She's a violent person and only exposes the whole world to violence and nastiness. Shut up, Andrea. I said what I said. But she's just a mean girl.
Yeah, the original mean girl.
Mm-hmm. That's all I got.
Well, thanks for that, Paulina.
Oh, yeah. Paulina, you find some weird things.
I thought my search history was screwed.
Yeah. I did, because she sent us this one, because I think she said she watched the TV series on it, but I didn't watch it because when I first started doing my research, it said that things were skewed in that, I guess to make it entertaining. But when I read the book that was from her dad's perspective, I was horrified because a lot of the stuff, because Reena recanted or the original things, you won't find in there. And initially when I was reading the case, it sounds like this poor girl was being bullied, and she was, but she was also very troubled and going through some things. So
she's a brat.
I kind of feel like that's the case. She had a nice life, and now, her parents did have rules and structures and all that clearly as a teen who wants to not abide by the rules is why her life was so awful, but she was not abused, and people don't make shit up.
Wow. I feel sorry for her siblings, too.
Yeah.
Because you know that the parents...
Yeah, they were...
siblings of anyone who has something tragic happen in the family, whether it be a death or... like with this chick, and you know that the other kids are getting forgotten, like kind of forgotten about. I hate to say that, but
so her dad will actually stop going to the trials because he'll say, like, when Kelly's goes to a third trial, he just can't do it anymore. That, like, hey, he's got to move on. He feels tired all the time. That, like, he can't, it's taken too long. That, like, he can't do that anymore. So people will give him updates, but he can't go to the trials. He can't rehear what happened to his daughter, or that gravel was found in her lungs. I don't know about you, but I've never heard a story that somebody was forcibly drowned and gravel was in their lungs.
Not that I recall.
Same. I mean, I probably have because my memory's awful, but I feel like it would have stuck.
There's things that I would have thought would have stuck in your brain, but don't, so...
Okay, fine. But I'm glad that we grew up in the country, and I'm glad that your children are growing up in the country, because these city kids are scary.
They sure are.
Like, I would have never... I mean, I didn't have a ton of friends growing up, but if one of them would have been like, let's go stomp this kid, I'd be like, no thanks.
I don't think I'm allowed to do that.
I got weak ankles, and my mom's real scary. She'll stomp me back.
Oh, she would have too. She would have smothered you with her... oh, what was it in your case? Her folds.
Ew. And on that note...
we hope you enjoyed today's episode of Homicide Hobbies. If we made you laugh, if we made you cry, or if we mindfucked you for the day, then we thank you for listening. Please write a review on whatever you're listening to us on. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. We're freaking awesome. And join us next week for another episode of Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy.
And I'm Claire.
That's all we've got.